I've got 135 acres in Cortez, Colorado. My name is Miles McLaughlin here at Wilco Land. What we do is we buy and sell raw vacant land. In this video, I'm going to break down this listing. I'm going to cover a lot of common questions and FAQs that we get. I'm going to talk about the property location. I'm going to pull it up on maps and all that good stuff. I'll also talk about the target audience, some potential uses for the property, and again, go over access most importantly. So sit back for a couple of minutes. I'll break this listing down for you. Getting started here with a disclaimer. This isn't legal advice. This isn't real estate advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions on the property through my own due diligence and my research and experience in the industry. You as a buyer ultimately are going to have to do your own due diligence and make sure this property is going to be the right fit for you. Give us a call if you have questions. We're happy to help. We do sell all of our land as is. Happy to share some of the resources we have with it as well. So getting started, what makes this property really something special is the history down here. That's a huge selling point for this property. This is a photo taken from the property. There are petroglyphs down here. There's a lot of Native American history. This was an old trading post back in the day. So we'll go through some of this history. A lot of the history came from the previous owner educating me on that. But that alone has a standalone value, is this historical aspect. For those archaeologists, for those looking to find, artifacts, this is a pretty interesting 135 acre chunk of land. This used to be a trading post back in the day, between the Native Americans and the settlers and things like that. So there's a lot of history down here on this property. This is an old trading post, right? These are like caverns and walls and where people, were, right? This is a building back in the day. And so really, really a cool history. This is an old, what they call a rock well. You can see there's water down there at the bottom. So, there is water on this property, and this is an old well. This is what they did back in the day. So this to me is really, really interesting history on this property. I think that's selling point, target audience number one. Secondly, we're talking about 135 acres in Southwest Colorado. When we're talking about the price we're offering on this property for 135 acres, we're in the business of moving land fast. We wholesale a lot of properties. That's just our business. That's what we do. We have to turn over products fast to buy more products. So a lot of land investors, people from all over the country come across our listings. Hey, if I can get this much acreage at this price, I'll buy it. There's plenty of people just collecting land, similar to like stocks in the stock market. It's a tangible asset a person can use. The third target audience I'm going to talk about out here on this property is going to be hunting and recreation, potentially some sort of structures out here, but more than anything, you are out in the middle of nowhere. This is awesome hunting territory. I think there's a hunting outfitter just to the east of this property. So it's going to be world-class hunting, off-roading, recreation, things like that. This is your own adult playground on 135 acres, right? Not only do you have this your own recreational mecca, you have this long-term tangible real estate investment. So those are some huge selling points of the property. We own a portion of the mineral rights. I'd assume if they haven't struck gold or oil or whatever it is, there's a low likelihood you're going to get rich on this property. But what do I know? There is a portion of the mineral rights that do come with this property. So those of you curious about that. But let's talk about the location here for a minute, and then I'll go into access here at the end of the video. Here's Telluride, Colorado, Durango. This is a town of Cortez. We're sitting right here just north of the reservation line. So there are roads that get down to this property. There is BLM land adjacent to this property. So not only do you have 135 acres, but to the north of you is a couple thousand acres of BLM land as well. I'll pull that up on Onyx Maps. But again, giving you an idea where we're located on a map here, down in southeast Utah and southwest Colorado. Now, when we talk about land viewings, you can, use the GPS coordinates to go view this property. The most logical routes, like I said, we don't guarantee access to any of these properties. We don't insure it, things like that. We'll close through a title company and all that good stuff. But with this property, you're going through BLM land to the north. There's a couple ways you could get to it, I guess. So the first route that comes to my mind is you can see the property down here. It's got some pretty decent topography. You've got some cool plateau structures on the property. You can see that in the photos. There is a creek. East Elmo Creek does run through the property. So you're going to get seasonal. This is probably a seasonal creek. We're down here in the desert. In terms of seasonality, this is going to run probably seasonally. This creek will. So it's East Elmo Creek does run through the property. And you can see we've got some decent topography on the property, creating kind of some unique structures and stuff like that. right? You can see like a plateau here, a plateau over here, things like that. And so I want to talk about, right, we got the creek running through it. I think that's a huge value added opportunity. To the north of this property is BLM land. This is public land. You can hike on it, you can walk on it, you can drive on it, things like that. It's actually more like 150,000 acres. I had mentioned a couple thousand, but it's 150,000 acres of BLM land. So the access to this property comes in from County Road G off this old trading post road. So this is Road G, County Road G. And then you'd come off on East Elmo Creek Road. And basically you're meandering through a bunch of two tracks. You might be off-roading in some areas. You're going through two tracks, things like that. And you're going to eventually make your way down to our property, and you can enter, from the BLM side, and things like that. So, that's the most logical access right there. We know we have hike-in, we have drive-in access. However you get back there, we have that factored in. Access is rough to this property. That's what you're going to get. That's what we're advertising. That's what we're selling. That's why we're calling it a unique recreational property. Okay. The other route to access a property, which is not insurable by anybody, and nobody's going to guarantee this because it's going to go across the Utah border. And so if you get on County Road G, there's a really nice road. This County Road G it goes over across the Utah border now. Okay. And this is actually tribal land, and doesn't matter what state you're in, where you're at, the U.S. government, nobody's going to ensure basically, legal access or documented access through tribal territories. I guess a good way to think about it, at any time, the tribe could potentially put roadblocks in and tell you, hey, you can't access this. This is tribal territory. Has that happened? Does it happen often? No, it doesn't, right? If you're using this property half a dozen times a year, you're probably going to live the rest of your life never running into a single issue, right? It's definitely a gray area, but if you're in Montana, South Dakota, Colorado, everywhere, no title company, no real estate company is ever going to ensure access through tribal territory. So you go on County Road G, and it brings you down to this is like basically a paved road. It looks like on County Road G. Maybe it's really nice gravel, but you really get into some nice roads. And if you're following my cursor on the screen, you would actually end up over on the BLM side if you come in that way. That's a really easy driving route. And then you go down to this Trail Mesa area, and then that brings you all the way down again on this county road or this road, whatever it is, it brings you down to our property, right? It comes in from this side and here. So that's all kind of factored into the price. You have a couple access points like that it looks like. Obviously, you as a buyer need to verify those things. But that's what I'm seeing from somebody who hasn't been to the property. And quite frankly, our photographer got to the property, no problem. So that's always a really good sign too. We sent a photographer out here. He got to the property, no problem, no issues, didn't run into any issues. So that's always a great sign, And so, talking about that a little bit more, I wanted to show you some of our due diligence. Here's a plat map. This is up by County Road G, I believe. So this looks like an easement through all those properties that gets you over to the Utah border. And then this is what the title company sent us. Then it breaks down. You've got all this BLM land in between it. And then you've got, here's that road coming in. It looks like to our property. I believe this is our property in the corner here. I'd have to look through some of this again. This could be coming in actually from the north end too, flipped upside down. But no, this is reservation down to the south. This is our property right here, McGee. So you can see these roads are established roads on a plat map going through the property. And I'll pull up our title report too. So I just wanted to show you some maps we have of the property here that the title company sent us. And then I do have the title commitment too. If anybody's interested, you can read through the title report here. We've got it all here. Here's requirements, exceptions, things like that. So, basically what they're saying about access, we have 32% ownership in the mineral rights is to my understanding. And then when we talk about access, from the insured property to Road G is subject to compliance with all Forest Service, federal, and state regulations governing said roads. So basically from County Road G, nobody really wants to insure much or stick their neck out for that. I see that all the time in land investments. The reality is you can get down there. The reality is nobody can really stop your access through BLM. That's casual access. You'd be working with the government. They're not the big bad wolf trying to block you out from your property, right? So It talks about the course of East Elmo Creek, things like that going through the property. So we do have a really unique land investment down here in southern Colorado. We're really into this property here. It's got some cool topography. It's got some really deep history to it. It's got multi-use that's available to it. So get with us if it's something you're interested in. We do have other listings on the homepage. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this isn't legal advice. This isn't real estate advice. This is me simply sharing my thoughts and opinions on the property. You as a buyer are going to need to conduct your own due diligence and make sure this is the right fit for you. We do sell all of our properties as is, though. So thanks for tuning in. Give us a call if you have questions about other listings or if you want to just chat with somebody here at Wilco Land. Happy land hunting.